Hi, Michelle here with your tips on trips, and today's tips on trips is going to be from our vacation on Royal Caribbean Liberty of the Seas, the 7-night Western Caribbean cruise. So I first want to start out with utilizing the shuttle service. So we had a flying to Houston, and we're going to have to shuttle going into Galveston, which is where we were leaving out of, our ship was leaving out of Galveston, Texas. So with that being said, I wanted to say we did fly into Houston a couple of days early, and we did purchase our shuttle passes through Royal Caribbean. So I want to just go over some pluses of arranging our shuttle through Royal Caribbean, because there were some other shuttle services that could have picked us up from the airport and shuttled us to Galveston, and then from Galveston back to the Houston airport as well. So the first plus is that when you purchase your shuttle through Royal Caribbean, the ship is not going to leave you. So if the shuttle is running behind, Royal Caribbean, the Liberty of the Seas was not going to leave us, because we had our shuttle tickets purchased through Royal Caribbean. So I think that's a plus. Even though you don't want your shuttle service running behind, or if there's traffic or just some unforeseen thing to happen, there is that peace of mind knowing that the ship cannot leave because I have my shuttle tickets and service through the company. So I feel like there's some peace of mind there that makes it a plus as well. Also, another thing that I felt was a plus on the day that we disembark. So the last day when we're getting ready to leave, our luggage tags are going to be number 1. So our shuttle was going to be leaving at 9 a.m. They were starting to let us off at 8 a.m. But it's great to know with the luggage tags number 1 that those luggages with the tags of 1 are going to be the first ones ready for pickup as you disembark the ship. So I feel like that's another plus as well, because Royal Caribbean knows, hey, you have your shuttle service through us, we're going to make sure that we give you tags number 1, because I feel like the tags were like in the 30s and 40s, and I think I might have seen 50s as well. So it's really also that peace of mind, and I don't want to self-assist. I don't want to take my luggage and carry it with me as I'm going to go get breakfast, and I'm going to maneuver myself throughout the ship. So I don't want to have to carry my bags to maneuver throughout the ship to get breakfast and to even stand in line as you disembark the ship. Like, I'd rather have my carry-on, a backpack, or my duffel bag that I had, something simple and light to carry as I disembark, go through customs, things of that nature, and then pick up my luggage at the end. So I feel like that is another plus of using the shuttle through Royal Caribbean. Another thing that I want to mention that we actually got to see by utilizing the shuttle through Royal Caribbean is that if you have any issues or challenges, you potentially can get some credit back onto your card or some sort, because Royal Caribbean is always going to want to try to do their best to make things right. So what happened is that Royal Caribbean said our pickup time at the Houston airport was going to be 10 a.m. to get us to the Galveston port. So when we got there to Houston airport, they told us, oh, the shuttles are running behind because they need the shuttles to pick everybody up at the port. And then those shuttles that come back to the airport, those are the shuttles that they use to take us back to the port. Anyways, we get there. They said that our shuttles are not going to be ready at 10 and that our shuttle was going to be ready at 12:45 p.m. So that was kind of a bummer, because we had set our check-in time for 12:30 because we wanted to get there early to the cruise ship, enjoy the amenities. I get it. We have 7 days to enjoy it. But there is also that sense of I still want to enjoy the pool and different things like that. Get set up with our luggage and unpacking and just getting ready to enjoy our trip. And so that to us was a little bit of a pushback. So what I did that day is I went to guest services, told them what happened, and then later they had added some credit onto our room. Now, that's a plus for us to be able to receive some type of credit back, because I'm just thinking if that challenge had arose with, say, a company that obviously wasn't Royal Caribbean, because there are other companies that offer the shuttle service, and if they were running behind or late, would they still feel that they needed to offer some sort of credit to make up for the lateness of it? With that being said, also on our way to the port of Galveston, we also thought, should we have even stayed in Houston? Should we have actually shuttled ourselves into Galveston a day earlier so we didn't have so this wouldn't have happened? But of course we can't predict something like this in terms of the shuttles being behind. So it was like, next time would it be better just to go ahead and go straight into Galveston and not spend some time in Houston so that we're closer to the port, quicker shuttle to get us to the port, we know we're going to get there on time? or do we still, leave the same day of the cruise leaving and having to shuttle over to the Galveston port from the Houston airport, because it's not that close to each other. I can't remember exactly how long it took us, maybe like 45 minutes or so. So just some things to keep in mind, and just to keep in mind as to like what would be best for you, what would be easier for you, what would also give you some peace of mind, starting your cruise, because you want to have that peace of mind and you want things to flow nice and easily as well. All right, and we're back, and I am going over our stops through Royal Caribbean. The ship we were on was Liberty of the Seas. It was a 7-day Western Caribbean cruise, and we had 4 stops. Our stops were in Puerto Costamaya, Mexico, Roatan, Honduras, Belize City, Belize, y Cozumel, Mexico. So those are our 4 stops, and I'm going to go over each of those stops on the tips that we learned while we were there. So for first, stop number one was Puerto Costamaya in Mexico. And this is where we had an excursion planned through Royal Caribbean. It was the Mayan healing ritual. It was like sort of like a spa treatment, nice and calming. So our healing treatment was scheduled for 11:30 a.m. And our ship was scheduled to let everybody disembark at 11 a.m. Well, the news came in that they weren't going to let people off the ship till 11:30 a.m., which made us know that we were going to be late. Now, the issue here is that when the ship is disembarking everybody at 11:30 a.m., everyone is getting off the ship at the same time, because to me, this is a late start for a cruise port. Most of the times you're off at 8:30 a.m. or so. So everyone's trying to get off the ship at the same time, which took us about 30 to 45 minutes to get off the ship. And obviously we didn't get to our station in time. So when we got to our meeting point where our excursion passes asked us to meet, it was already 12:30, 12:45 at that time. So thank goodness that the excursion had their last time that was available was 2 o'clock, and there was room for us to go ahead and take part in that Mayan healing experience, which was great. And through that experience, what we learned is, so when you get to the Puerto Costamaya, it basically is a port. And you're going to see lots of shops. There's going to be swimming pools. There's going to be a dolphin encounter experience. And I know that there was excursions that I've seen on the Royal Caribbean website for that as well. So there's things to do there. And when we asked about using the pools, the people there asked that if we purchase something, whether it be food or drinks, to actually use the beach chairs. So we were able to use one chair, and my partner ordered a drink. Well, she ordered both of us a drink, and then I utilized the pool for the most part until our excursion time was to take place. And I'm going to do a video also on that Mayan excursion healing ritual as well. It was very nice and calming. The staff was really wonderful. I don't have any pictures of it because I didn't take my phone in, because you got hot. You were in a bath of water soaking. They did like little massages on your head when you start out, and then you went into what we would think as a sauna. I don't remember the exact name of what they called it, but we were able to each pick a herb that we felt resonated with. So they had 4 different types, and whatever you felt connected to, then they told you what each one represents. And there was a whole releasing experience there inside. I don't know the name of it. I'm going to say it's sort of like a sauna. It was very nice with the group because it was a small group as well. And then they take you into another bath where you do get like another head massage, and then they put you in a hammock, and that's where you kind of get like, I felt like there was 2 people, because like I felt hands like, pushing me up through the hammock. It was a very nice and relaxing experience. I do recommend it. I do recommend, whenever you're looking for excursions, also get on the website as soon as you can and start getting those excursions that you want earlier, because the sooner you do, you get the lower prices as well. And with that being said, when we finished, we wanted to say like, hey, where's the beach? We wanted to check out a beach while we were there. And they did tell us, the locals told us that, oh, you can take a taxi. It's about 5-10 minutes away to the beach. But by that time, our excursion probably was over around 3:30 p.m. and I believe we had to be back on the ship at 5:30. Now, the original itinerary had us back on the ship by 7. So I've experienced this before, where the itinerary changes when you need to get back on the ship earlier. And so we just didn't feel like it was worth it for us to risk going to the beach, especially when it's like, oh, it's 5 to 10 minutes away, And then sometimes you don't know, is it really 5 to 10 minutes away? And so we didn't take that risk, and we ended up going back on the ship. But when we got back on the ship, people in our group, they did take that taxi ride, and it was about 5 to 10 minutes away. And they said it was about $4 per person each way on the taxi. And when they showed us pictures of the beach, it was gorgeous. The food they got looked delicious, and they said it was delicious as well. So Puerto Costa Maya, next time if we were to ever get on a ship that had this stop, we're definitely going to take a taxi to the beach and enjoy the water and the food as well, because those are the things that we enjoy. But you can check out all the excursions on the Royal Caribbean website, or whichever cruise line that you're planning through, and see if those meet your needs. But just sharing that because no one in our group had taken these stops, so we didn't really know what to expect or what to look forward to. And so now this is just planning ahead, and that is our tips on trip for our first stop in Puerto Costa Maya, Mexico. A quick tip that I'd want to add for Puerto Costa Maya is, if you know, and this is something I would do next time, if I know that our excursion is going to start at 11:30 a.m. and they're not going to let people off the ship till 11:30, I would next time go to guest services and let them know about this, and seeing if there's a way that we can get somehow escorted off the ship so that we can make our excursion in time. Because who's to say that next time there would be available slots available for us to even take part in the Mayan ritual that we wanted to take part in. So just some things to think about, and just once again, tips on trips. All right, our next stop on the Royal Caribbean 7-day Western Caribbean cruise. This stop, I'm going to go over Roatan, Honduras. Now, the previous stop was Puerto Costa Maya, and then we also have 2 other stops in Belize City, Belize, as well as Cozumel, Mexico. So the night before getting to Roatan, they had cards in each of our key slots to our cabin doors, letting us know as a reminder to please stay on ship's time. Obviously, when I got this, I don't know what that means. It's like, well, yesterday I was on the ship's time. So this is just a reminder, because I'm foreshadowing as why this is so important when we get to this particular stop, as well as Belize City, Belize as well. So when I woke up, I actually woke up pretty early that morning when we got to Roatan, and I noticed that my phone had not caught up to the ship's time. So I actually went to the gym early that morning, and I noticed that my clock on my phone was different than what the ship was showing on each of the different levels. So I kind of was starting to figure out, okay, my clock is behind, an hour behind, which is fine because I'm just working out. And our excursion, we were doing the Mayan Echo Park tour. So you might see that with the sloths, and there may be zip lining there, but the excursion we specifically took was just to see the animals. And so one thing that happened at this particular stop in our excursion, so we were ready to be on time because, as you saw earlier, that when we got to Puerto Costa Maya, we were a little delayed from the ship in getting to our excursion, so we were going to be extra on time. So our bus was to leave at 10 a.m. and the passes on our excursions told us to get there by 9:45. Well, we went above and beyond, and we said we're going to get there at 9:30 that morning. So when we got to the particular meeting spot off the ship, so that we can be early and on time for our excursion to the Mayan Eco Park, actually they were telling us, and everybody's lined up here, so it's like all the excursions are in this one area. What was happening is that there were not enough buses, and they were also saying that it was too jam-packed to get into the area where they were picking us all up at. And so it took an hour. We didn't get on our bus till about 10:40 a.m. to actually head to our excursion. But we did have friends who were on the same excursion, and they were there 5 minutes before us, and the bus had already taken off earlier. Maybe the bus had already enough people, I don't know. But just something to keep in mind, that it wasn't very organized when we went. So if you're looking to make sure you get to your excursion at the time that you want, because maybe you have some other things planned that you like to take part in, just keep that in mind, that you may want to show up a little bit earlier to the meeting spot for the excursion. All right, so getting to the Echo Park, the Mayan Echo Park, We first started, we went on a little hike, and then we went to a butterfly sanctuary, which was pretty cool. And then, of course, we got to probably the moment everyone was waiting for, the sloth. And Flash, the sloth, was so amazing. We loved it, and we also got to encounter the monkeys, birds, and then another animal that I don't remember what the name was. But it was really cute. We love animals, and it was just a really great experience, and we had a lot of fun. But it was a short excursion, and then we headed back to the port where our ship was. And from that point, we knew that we wanted to go check out something else, and said like, hey, let's go to the beach. So we got a taxi driver, and the taxi took us to West Bay Beach. So West Bay Beach, and mind you, the beach from the port ship for West Bay is not around the corner. I would say it's at least 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the traffic and how many people are out on the roads at that time. So also keep that in mind. And so we got to West Bay Beach. Our taxi driver, we had to pay to enter the beach. So we gave him the money so that he can get our wristband. He put us where some, chairs that are on the beach, and he said, well, I'll be back here at 3 p.m. to pick you up, because our ship was leaving at 4:30. Mind you, keep in mind, this is why it's so important to remember ship time. And so I looked at my watch, and I was like, I just felt like we started our excursion late. How is it like only 1 o'clock? Just things weren't adding up. But my partner was, yeah, we're fine. And the taxi driver, even himself, he has a list of when all the ships, say they're arriving and when they need to be back. So he's like, oh, it shows that you guys got to be back at 4:30. So I'll pick you guys up at 3. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to West Bay. So West Bay is a beautiful beach. A lot of different, it seems like resorts, people who actually go into Roatan just to stay there, not on the cruise ship. And so there's food, there's vendors, people selling things. And then obviously there's really great snorkeling actually. So where our taxi driver let us off at, and he escorted us to our beach chairs, there was some good snorkeling there. And then someone who worked there also told us that if we go towards this big huge rock, there's going to be even better snorkeling there with different fish. And so we did take him up on his offer, and we decided to walk down the beach, and there was amazing snorkeling, lots of great fish to see. Different fish that were actually there were mainly everybody was congregating right in front of the restaurants and things like that. So West Bay was really nice. Our taxi driver came back at 3 o'clock, like he said he was, according to our watches, and we got back to the ship. Now, mind you, I felt like, I was kind of getting a little nervous. But the good thing is that when we got back to the port, it was a straight shot. There was no traffic. Well, come to find out, as we're approaching the ship, I started to see that, the Royal Caribbean staff is starting to put things away for people to board the ship. So I'm looking at my watch, and I'm getting like even more nervous. And my partner's like, why are you so paranoid? I'm like, I don't know. I've seen videos where they start to put this stuff away. It just doesn't seem right or feel right. So lo and behold, as we got back onto the ship and we boarded, I looked at, one of those main screens big giant screens that they have, and it said 4:26, and the ship was leaving at 4:30. And so it made my heart beat a little, because there was another ship that docked with us. I believe it was Symphony of the Seas, and Symphony of the Seas was already taking off. So it's very nerve-wracking when you see a different ship. You're like, wait, those aren't our slides on our ship. Those, we don't have those slides. No, that's not ours. You have to I had to reconfirm, that's not our ship. Anyways, that happened. So it's really important to download the Royal Caribbean app so that you see that there is a ship time on the app. Now this might sound obvious to most, but because my phone was always linked to the app whenever I was looking on the app to schedule, see what activities were happening or chat amongst people in our group, I always saw that the times matched, so I never thought about it. But realizing up in that top left-hand corner, it says ship time. So this is why it's important to download the app, to constantly look at that time, because that is always going to be the correct time. So wherever you go, always look at the ship time right there on the corner of that specific app. And that was Roatan, Honduras. All right, on to our next stop, Belize City, Belize. So at this particular port, this was another port where they had a card slipped into our key card slot of our cabin door saying, remember to be on ship time, because for whatever reasons, the phones do not connect with what the ship time is. So from our prior experience in Roatan, Honduras, I made sure I'm looking right at that ship time. And so at this particular stop, we did not have any excursions planned. Mind you, at Belize City, Belize, you do have to take a tender boat because the ship does not dock like directly on a port where you just kind of walk off the ship and there you are. You take a tender boat. It was about a 15-minute boat ride to shore where everything was happening. And so, as I mentioned, we didn't have an excursion plan, so we decided to take a city tour of Belize. And it was really nice. The driver was great. He was funny. He was entertaining. And we did learn a lot about, the city and the country as well. On our way, the driver stopped and a woman was selling homemade banana bread. And so we were offered if we wanted to purchase the banana bread, which we did, and it was delicious. And then he took us to a stop where we did some rum tasting. Now here at this place where we did the rum tasting for $1 USD, you were able to sample two different, beverages, whatever it may be. So we had a coconut rum, I tasted a cashew wine, I believe it was like a blueberry wine, and then another rum, I don't remember the exact name, but this is where you can, taste for obviously it's a cheap price. And then if you want to purchase here, we did notice that if you purchase your liquor inside where we did the tasting, it's a lot cheaper than purchasing it when you get closer to the ship's port where everything's happening before you get back on the ship. So through that tour, it was nice. And then he did stop in front of 3 women. They had kind of had their own little setup for their own businesses and making food. So we decided to stop there for a home cooked meal, I guess you can say. And so we did, and the food was pre-made, and I guess for me, I was looking for something like a little bit more warm. But other than that, if you're looking for something that's made by a local, then this is a great place to stop. And it's right close to where you start where you get off on the ship. So it's right there. I mean, where the tender boat drops you off. So it's right there, close by. If you're looking for a local meal cooked there, it's close by, and you don't have to walk that far. You come back inside the port where all the vendors are, and there's a lot of shopping, souvenirs, food, drinks, and then we got back on the tender boat. So we really didn't stay there long. And then as far as the beaches, there wasn't a beach that you could just enter in right there off the stop. So I felt a little disappointed in that, but I guess if you take an excursions, there's some snorkeling and things that you can do, but it wasn't accessible from, say, where the tender boats drop you off. Like, people weren't getting in the water, there wasn't sand or anything like that. So I feel like it's important to kind of know this, because obviously it's not a country that I've been to or visited, and no one has given me their examples of it. So maybe on different sides of the country, you can access it that way. But on that side where we were at, you didn't see anybody going into the water from that area. So that is our experience in Belize City, Belize. All right, now on to our 4th stop of our trip, Cozumel, Mexico. So I was really excited about this trip, and because I knew that we were going to be renting a scooter, so we decided not to do any excursions through the cruise line. I saw like different videos about renting a scooter on the island and being able to drive around the island, which was a lot of fun. So the place that we rented our scooters from is C&M Scooter Rentals and Tours. I'll put the information about this company in the description below in this video. I actually rented the scooter ahead of time just to make sure that there was a scooter available when we showed up. So I went on their website and I was able to pay through PayPal and reserve the scooter ahead of time. Now, from where the ship docked, it was probably about a 10-minute taxi ride to pick up the scooter. So it wasn't a short walk off the ship. But as you did get off the ship at the port, there was plenty of people who are offering scooter rentals to their particular locations wherever they were selling from. But because I already had pre-reserved, I wanted to make sure that I went to this particular place. So we did that.
got the scooter rental, and they were able to, it had been a while since I've been on a scooter, so that he allowed me to drive around the block. And then they also gave us a map as well of the scooter. I had already done a lot of research on different places that I wanted to stop at along this route in Cozumel. So something that you can do to even plan ahead is that you can go into Google Maps and you can create all the different stops that you want, starting from whatever the scooter rental place you're going to be starting from, and you can already have it mapped out. So, and then you can share that link of your Google map and send it to yourself, so that when you get there, all you have to do is click on the link and your map is set up. So you don't have to input things or, oh, what was the name of, whatever the place you wanted to visit. So I found that was really, really helpful in getting us started and getting us moving, and also made us feel a lot comfortable in terms of getting on the road in Cozumel as well. So our first stop was Playa Corona, and Playa Corona was a spot where you can eat and drink, and they also had snorkeling. So one of the main things that we were looking forward to on this particular vacation was doing and embarking in on the snorkeling as well. So we brought our own snorkel gear, and when we got to this place, it was very quiet. Not a lot of people were there. You could either pay just to snorkel, or you could also pay to obviously eat and snorkel. Your food would allow you to snorkel as well. So we stopped, and my partner got a beer, and for me, I just wanted to snorkel. So I got into the water, and there was definitely a lot to see, and how much they had spaced out for you, because you can see that the buoys kind of put you in a certain area. There was a lot of space there as well, and I didn't even get to venture out that to the farthest that I wanted to. I feel like I needed a lot more time to do more of the snorkeling. So definitely I want to come back to Cozumel and do more snorkeling there, and just embrace more of that, because I love being underwater and seeing all the beauty that lives underwater as well. And we did get a late start that morning, so we kind of wanted to just keep it moving and not get too stuck in one place, so that we can make the entire loop around the island. And so as we continued on through our travels on the scooter, one thing we wanted was to find food that seemed very local, not necessarily, resortish, I guess you can say. So we stumbled upon this restaurant. It was on the other side. It was on the left side of us, and we made a U-turn, and I mean, it just was delicious. So I'm going to share pictures of those with you. As you can see, like, we had salsa and chips. The tacos had a lot of meat. My partner got, got ceviche, and their salsas were delicious. I mean, it was really, really good, and we would definitely want to come back. So that definitely fueled us up for our continued journey, and we continued driving along the coast of Cozumel, and it is just an amazing, beautiful experience to be in a scooter and to be within nature, within the air, and the ocean right next to you as well. I highly, highly recommend doing a self-guided tour. If you don't feel comfortable, you can always hire the company. Even the company that we rented our scooters from, they offer guided tours on the scooters as well, if it's something that you like to do. And we stopped at like a reggae type bar, and we stopped to ask to make sure. I was looking for a blowhole, and so I couldn't find the exact locations for my videos, and so he kind of was helping out with that as well. And I mean, it's one of those moments where we felt like, man, we wish we had more time to sit and chat with the guy who was behind the bar, because he was so nice, and it just seemed so easy to talk to, and we just felt like we could have spent more time there. But once again, we wanted to continue to get on the road, and our next stop was El Mirador, which is more like a photo op spot. Like, basically looks kind of like a bridge, but rocks kind of building the bridge together. And yeah, it's a photo op. There's lots of vendors here too, so you may want to buy something, or the vendors are going to suggest that you buy something as well. So it was really nice. The person that helped us was really nice as well. And we continued on our journey, and we came upon another beach, and this beach was free actually. And we stopped to take a look, and I was kind of inching my way, like, I want to get in the water, and my partner's like, we need to make sure that we get back to returning the scooter, getting a taxi, and then getting back to the ship on time. I think that Roatan Honduras experience really put that reminder in our heads, like you want to do it, even though I just love being on the water and love experiencing the beaches. So, but next time we'll be back. And so we concluded by we stopped at that beach. I don't know what the name of that beach is called, but you'll see it along the way. And there was also a bar / restaurant that was right there close by, and you saw people, in the water and things like that. And there's a lot of different places to stop along your journey, riding around Cozumel as well. Like, it's not one and done. And there is plenty to see. If you're hungry, if you're thirsty, whatever it is, there's so much to do. And then as we started to conclude going around the island, we felt like we got more of where like the local vibes were, where like people, that live here live, and it got a lot busier once we got closer to returning our scooter. And so we returned our scooter and we had so much fun, and we're so glad that we were able to have that experience. But definitely we're going to start our day a lot earlier in Cozumel. I felt like we kind of had a late start, and I think just by being on the cruise, sometimes we get tired, and we just wanted to take our time getting up and eating breakfast and getting off the ship. But for sure, next time, definitely Cozumel is on the list to visit again. It's beautiful, and there's definitely a lot more to see. So we look forward to that trip on our next stop in Cozumel. And that concludes my video on tips and trips on our Royal Caribbean 7-night Western Caribbean cruise with stops to Puerto Costa Maya, Mexico, Roatan, Honduras, Belize City, Belize, y Cozumel, Mexico también. So we had a lot of fun. Obviously the ships, have different amenities, but usually have a lot of the same ones that are happening, and we love cruising. So we look forward to our next adventure and sharing it with you on Tips on Trips. Treasure yourself and shine.